Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 10 of the Dragon Radar podcast. We are your hosts, Heeroh and Ajoten. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing very well on the Big 10. And it's still time for another discussion.
It is. It's time for another discussion. We're in the double digits now. So let's get started with Roshi's rant.
This is Roshi's Rant.
So this is Roshi's rant, the first section of the podcast where we will deep dive into a particular topic regarding Dragon Ball. And today we're talking about Frieza, and more specifically whether or not he should become a god of destruction. So it's a big topic, I think. There's a wrong answer and a right answer. In my eyes, at least, anyway. But what do you think? Do you think he should turn into a god of destruction?
I think he was partially planned to be anyway. I think he was set up to be from the get-go. I think it's tricky. I think, like I said, I think if he was, it wouldn't necessarily serve his purpose. I think if you just made him do it, it would be Frieza. If you just said, yes, I'll do it, it doesn't seem like Frieza. But if he said yes and then was all Frieza about it, that would be interesting, because he would do it to get something out of it, of what we typically expect of Frieza. Yes, so he's doing it for his own means. So he does it to become stronger and to get something out of it. If they just basically said, oh yes, he's going to do as he's told now and he's going to be a destroyer and that's it, then that wouldn't make sense to me, and I think that would be a wrong answer and you shouldn't do it. I'm assuming that's what you mean by right and wrong answer.
Yeah, because the way I was seeing it was like the god of destruction, like all of them, I guess, not just Beerus, but all of the gods of destructions aren't necessarily evil. Like, yes, they destroy things, but they are following rules and they're not destroying for no reason, and for most cases at least anyway. So to have a god of destruction who is pure evil like Frieza would kind of go against things, and I feel like he would just start destroying everything just because he can, instead of like doing it for a purpose. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really think it would be a good idea for Frieza, although it would be nice to see him wearing some different clothing, I guess. Just, something different, looking a bit different. Maybe even get a new transformation when he's got that, like, God Key energy. That would be cool as well. Like, it happened to Toppo, and he had a nice transformation. But then again, Beerus and the rest of them, they don't really transform. So it doesn't mean Frieza would, necessarily.
I kind of went down the rabbit hole a little bit, and I was thinking about it, and I think he was kind of there is potential for him to have been set up to arguably have been a destroyer, or have been considered to be a destroyer pre-Saiyan Saga. If you think about it, because
I know what you're going to say here, but go for it.
So, I know it's probably totally like there was never a thought about it, but it's kind of like a rabbit hole type thing. So Beerus serves Beerus, yeah. And gets Frieza to blow up Planet Vegeta. Yeah. Why? Beerus is the destroyer. Yeah. If he's going to blow up the planet, he should be the one doing it. Yeah. So basically, Beerus is getting him to do the dirty work. There's no reason for him to be doing that. So obviously, Beerus recognizes Frieza has some form of power. Yeah. So Beerus wouldn't be messing with people that he didn't really deem to be some form of powerful. So kind of I recognize you're pretty strong. So obviously that means that Whis is well aware that this person is quite strong as well. So from Whis' perspective, he's like, okay, so Beerus is no good. This person is obviously quite strong. So I'm going to keep him in mind. Yeah. So he's obviously well aware, and as he's got to know Frieza, he's more well aware of him. Whis obviously now knows Frieza a lot better. Whis isn't stupid. He knows fine well that if he approached Frieza and said, look, I want you to be a destroyer, he knows Frieza's very deceitful and would totally be trying to use him for his own means. However, again, as we've discussed previously in Whis' intentions, Whis doesn't care about anybody. he just doesn't get, like, he's not looking to make friends really.
No.
He'll be pals with you, but his essence, he cares about what's higher up, okay? And basically, if he feels he can make a deal with Frieza to serve as a destroyer, and I think to basically say, okay, look, as long as you do what you need to do when I need you to do it, I will give you the power that you want.
Mm.
Okay? So we'll just a bargain, right? And I think Frieza potentially might be open to that, or at least think he can trick Whis into believing.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because I had a feel as soon as you said it was kind of planned before I was saying so. I knew where you were going with Beerus asked Frieza to destroy Planet Vegeta. And yeah, I understand that. Maybe they were thinking about him becoming a destroyer because they didn't really have anyone else in mind at the time. But also, I feel like what you've just said, Frieza's more likely to go off on his own and try and trick Whis as soon as he's got the power or do something bad with it. And I feel like this could just be a kind of rehash of Zamasu at that point, almost. Like, he's trying to overtake everyone, he's going behind people's backs, he has the power that he needs. And yeah, it wouldn't work a second time round. With the Kais, I feel like they're not strong enough to be able to prevent Zamasu, which is why the whole arc happened. But with a god of destruction and with all the angels involved, like Whis, I don't think Frieza could get away with it. He couldn't hide. He couldn't do anything with the power. You get like Whis would be able to take him down, no problem. Probably, even if Frieza did have god of destruction powers. So I don't know. Frieza's either locked into kind of being a good guy if he accepts, because he would need to only obey Whis' orders, or it's just not going to work. That's the only way I see it happening. Turn Frieza into a good guy by making him become a god of destruction, or it's just not going to work. I can't see it happening.
I think that's the thing where we need to strike a deal, is the fact that basically is, in terms of basically Whis would say to him, look, you can literally, I can give you this power and you can do what you want with it, all right? Except there will be times when I need you to do something. So, like, obviously, Beerus sleeps for years on end, yeah? In all that time, instead of sleeping, Whis can just let Frieza go do his own thing. But there will be times when Whis will need Frieza to do something, and Whis can literally go to Frieza, look, I need you to do a thing. Can you do a thing? Right, go do stuff. Go conquer planets. I don't care. And to be honest, I think Whis is of that mentality where he would quite happily let Frieza do that, because that doesn't impact Whis in the grand scheme of things. That has no impact on Whis or godhood in any way. Whoever owns planets, that doesn't impact the godhood at all.
Potentially.
There's no way that would impact Whis. Whis would shrug that off. He doesn't care. The godhood never got involved when Frieza did this, when he was attacking Namek and everything like that. Like, why would they care now?
That's true as well. Yeah.
I mean, as far as I'm aware, from what I've seen, there's nothing to say they can't do that. Like, literally, they don't have to sleep. Frieza doesn't have to sleep for years on end.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he did blow up 2 planets, technically, with Namek and Planet Vegeta. And he almost succeeded in blowing up the Earth if Whis didn't turn back time. But he only did that just because of a favor, I guess, not because he needed to. So I guess he's kind of fine with Frieza also destroying Earth as well. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't know, if Frieza had the god powers, would he really be too interested in overthrowing planets? Like, everyone, like, already Frieza is known as this like planet overlord guy who just takes over. But if people also know he's now a god of destruction, no one's going to be able to stop him as is. So it's either you join Frieza and you let him have your planet, or that's the end. You know, there's no fighting back. He's almost too strong just to be a guy who takes over planets. I don't know. Is it even worth his time?
Yeah, I think we've established though through Frieza that he has a Napoleon complex. Like he,
Mm,
people need to know. Like he's constantly rebuilding the Frieza Force. He always has.
mm,
Like in the Resurrection F film, he was like, "What did he offer Vegeta to kill Goku, Supreme Commander of the Frieza Force?" Even though there was literally just Frieza and Sobe, he was like, "We will rebuild it."
yeah.
It's like, so Goku was about to die. There would have been no one to really challenge him for the most part, like other than the godhood. So he
Mm,
didn't need to rebuild it. Everyone knew how powerful he was, but he still would have took. He could have took opponents by himself. Like he doesn't need the Frieza Force to do that. He doesn't need loads of minions to do that. But he just has an opponent complex. He just wants to take over stuff for the sake of taking over stuff. So I think he'll always do it, no matter how strong he is.
mm.
Um, and I think he just used that power for the sake of using it. I think he just likes striking fear into people, and if he can, he will.
I guess
Because,
so.
like you say, he's evil.
Yeah, I mean,
He is evil.
right now, technically, he's being wished back to life at the end of the Tournament of Power. He's doing something. Maybe he's rebuilding the Freezer Force. Maybe he's going off to train on his own. Who knows? He's just alive and kicking right now, doing his own thing. So that'll be interesting to see what he does do. I don't think anything's been mentioned in the manga with Frieza. I think they've kind of went in a different direction and not really mentioned him. From what I know, anyway, without reading it, I think that's what's happened. So yeah, I wonder what Frieza is doing because he will come back at some point, no matter what. Like he's alive; they're not going to forget about him, and he's one of the strongest characters in the show anyway. So maybe he'll come back with a new form as is. Maybe he doesn't even think he needs the God of Destruction power because he gets so powerful on his own training. Who knows? Who
He did
knows?
it very easily. He basically did. He can do a Gohan. He is literally the only other character that does a Gohan.
Yeah.
He does tiny bit of training, and he just becomes ridiculous.
Hmm.
Like the amount of training he did to get the golden power, the golden Frieza form, is the exact same as what Gohan did to get ultimate form.
Yeah.
In this minimal amount of time, he just focused really, really hard and unlocked it.
Yeah.
Pretty much no other character's done that, really.
Wasn't it just 1 month of training with the Freezer Force, or 3 months? It was either 1 month or 3 months.
It was that. It was that. What do you call him? That grey bald guy or whatever. As a punishment, you basically beat him up for a month or something, or a couple of months, and literally, so all he did was absolutely batter some bloke for a couple of months or something,
Yeah.
and he became Golden Fraser. And then he couldn't hold it, so when he went back to hell, I think he just concentrated on keeping the key and managing the key, and then he could control it later for longer. So basically, concentration and beating somebody up for a little amount of time.
Yeah, so
Literally,
imagine.
that is literally Gohan. Basically, like sit with Piccolo for a couple of days before the tournament of power, and you and he's basically like good enough to go.
Yeah, like imagine him actually train with Whis. It wouldn't take him long at all to power
This is
up.
what I mean. Yeah.
Like,
So
Whis has already trained Goku to become Ultra Instinct and the Super Saiyan God transformation, everything else, the blue, for both him and Vegeta, just training constantly. I think Frieza would eclipse those timelines. He would soar past any transformation that both of those guys have done in record time. And, if he was to become a God of Destruction, I don't even think it would take him long to achieve the form. Just because of his seemingly unlimited potential. Um, yeah, it's interesting. Overall, I still don't really think he should, though. I don't think it suits the story.
I think it would be interesting story if they didn't commit to him actually doing it.
Hmm,
So if he did it as a way as a to suit his own means type of thing, and to be tricky Freezer.
yeah,
Yeah, I would be fine with that. I would have no issue with that, as long as they did it right. Because everyone loves to see tricky Freezer try and do things. It's when Freezer's at his best.
hmm,
Because
exactly.
yeah, um, and
Like,
plus we'd get to see him a bit stronger. We would get to see a lot of him
mhm.
in that way. Like we wouldn't be on the sidelines, and that we would see a lot of him all the time.
Yeah.
It would basically be back to when he was basically one of the main characters, like on Namek, where he was pretty much in every episode, and I would love that, because right now, this Frieza we have right now in the Tournament of Power is the Frieza I'm really enjoying.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying this current Frieza. He's great. He's funny. He's sharp. I'm really enjoying him at the minute, and I would love to see more of that.
Yeah, that's the thing, I guess, because like he was great in the Tournament of Power, and it was great to see him back and actually kind of helping out with Goku and everyone else in the team. He wasn't the biggest team player, but he still helped, especially at the end. But if he was to become a God of Destruction, and he was around more often just because Goku and Vegeta are also training with Whis, just the dynamic of Frieza constantly being around with Goku and Vegeta and not fighting kind of puts me off the idea, because in my head I see Frieza as the ultimate bad guy in Dragon Ball. He is the best villain in the show. He always has been from the very beginning, as soon as he was introduced, and every villain after him has never lived up to how good Frieza was. And to see him being all goody-goody with Goku and Vegeta, I don't want to see that. I want to see them fighting. I want to see Frieza do something different to try and undermine Goku again and try and take him out. Same with Vegeta. I don't want to see them together and not fighting too much. It was fine for the Tournament of Power because it was different. But if they were to continue that without them fighting, I don't think I would like it too much.
No, I don't think I would want them all on the same planet training, stuff like that. What I think I would want to see is basically, let's say you've got Broly, Vegeta, and Goku training on Beerus's planet, and then Frieza turns up as well, and Whis basically says, "Right, I'm off." And they're like, "What?" Like, they're obviously shocked Frieza's there, and then Whis says, "I'm off," and basically he leaves, and they all feel quite betrayed because he's literally gone off purely to train Frieza. And then they're basically like, they have no idea, and Beerus is the one that breaks the news to them that said basically he's took over now. And so basically they end up meeting with him, and it's like they've got this whole betrayal thing where Whis is basically like, I never made any promises to you.
Yeah.
And it kind of shows that Whis again didn't have any, like, it kind of it ends up showing of like the whole Whis's intentions that we talked about, that he didn't have any true promises. He wasn't truly their friend. He serves the higher purpose, and this is truth behind it. And basically, so yeah, then you do get the evil dynamic because Frieza doesn't have to be their friend then. So you still get that dynamic of him becoming the destroyer, but you get to see bad guy Frieza not have to be their friend at the same time.
And it could also be an evil Whis as well at that point, since he can just betray them and say, "Yeah, you know what, Frieza's better. I want him." And then he just goes off and kind of, yeah.
He could literally just turn around and say, "Look, I've wasted my time with you. I'm actually disappointed that I've wasted my time when I should have just been here. I'm disappointed."
On the other hand, you just brought up Broly there, who I forgot about, and I think he would be a better God of Destruction, which is a topic for another time. But just because like he has that rage side and he's also a good guy, I could see him fit in that mold a bit better, just being able to listen to Whis and train properly. But yeah, I guess sticking on topic, because I don't want to go into that right now. But yeah, Frieza, I like the potential of it, but I don't think it would be a good idea. I would rather see him separate and kind of not being a God of Destruction. I don't think he needs it, is where I'm getting at.
I think the story would have to be done very, very well.
Yeah.
If they did it. I think it would be very difficult to do, but it has. But if they did it right, it could be very, very good, in my opinion. If they did it right.
If they did it right, it would need to be perfect, though, because I don't want to see a rehash of Zamasu with Frieza just trying to go off on one, and I don't want to see him become a good guy, so they would need to get a very fine line that they would be walking along, but maybe it's possible, but overall, I probably don't want to see it happen. Keep Frieza as Frieza, keep him being an evil guy. He doesn't need the powers, just let him train. That's all he needs, I think.
Let him go, Gohan.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see what happens. But I think that's enough for this segment. So let's move on now to the Hall of Fame.
Let's go.
And now it is time for the Hall of Fame.
And now it's time for the Hall of Fame, where myself and Heeroh battle it out to see who is most worthy to enter this week's Hall of Fame. Last week, it was who had the funniest character. And have you got the results for that?
I do have the results. So that was between Mr. Satan, which is my pick, and Whis, who was your pick. And the results were 81% to Whis. Whis becomes the funniest character in Dragon Ball. So congratulations to Whis. He enters the Hall of Fame. It's a bit annoying to me because a lot of people were commenting just saying, Mr. Satan's just annoying. He's an annoying character. I don't like him. He's not funny. He has no purpose. He's just annoying. And it's like, you don't understand the character in that case. Like, you don't get it. Like, that's the point. But they always make him a fool. That's the whole point. That's why he's funny. Because he is annoying. That's the entire reason, you know?
To be fair, he was up against Whis, though.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I've got no problem with Whis winning. It's just the reasoning for why like people didn't vote for Mr. Satan just because he's annoying. I was just like, no, wait, you're wrong.
Doesn't matter who you pick, though. It wouldn't have mattered. It's Whis.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So you can't feel too bad.
Yeah. Anyway, what's the topic for this week?
The topic for this week is best filler episode. Now, fillers can be annoying. We admit, not fillers. However, there are some diamonds in there.
There are.
I have a personal favourite. And it's, as I won, I get to go first.
You do, so go for it. I know what you're picking because it was also my pick. So, you know, I know this one is probably going to win, but yeah, go for it.
Yeah. And for this particular, I'm going to be cheesy here. And for this particular filler episode, I think they smashed it out the park. The baseball episode from Dragon Ball Super. A challenge from Champa.
Yeah, a great episode.
Yamcha's prime moment. He's just been ruined throughout the entirety of Dragon Ball Z. And he was ruined through the majority of Super, but this episode, bless him, this is his win.
It is. I mean, his one win.
I mean, they ruin him by bringing back the death pose, but it doesn't matter because he still gets the win. And I love it. They make him the main character. Like, I rip on Yamcha all the time because it's just so easy.
Undeserved.
I know. And the thing is, I kind of feel bad because I knew you'd pick this episode because you love Yamcha.
Yeah.
This is why I had to win the Hall of Fame because I needed to go first. So I'm so glad I picked Whis.
Yeah, unfortunate for me.
It's the rules of the Hall of Fame. It's how it works. Yes. So but I do like that they made him Yamcha the main character. I mean, he's got his interest. He's got his inner monologue, so we get to literally think like what he's thinking all the time. We get to see what's in his head. Basically, his resentment of Vegeta constantly saying it. How basically he fears for his life every day. He genuinely believes hanging about with these people that he thinks he's going to die.
I mean, it has happened already, so yeah, he's got points.
The beautiful throwbacks with the Wolfgang pitching fist.
Yeah.
Oh, which is just a lovely little throwback. I mean, they've literally thought of everything in these episodes.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not just the Yamcha moments though. I mean, we get more Vegeta and Kappa time, which is just always great. Vados and Whis as umpires, and when we get to see them flex, I always love seeing the Angels get to flex when Beerus and Champa start fighting, and they literally just step in and they're basically, you just know Yeah, they're just like parents. They're just basically, they could just stop it. And I just love it. You don't get to see it enough. And I think that's what makes it so impactful and I think it's smart that they don't do it very often,
Mm.
but you know that the gods of destruction recognize their power. And I like it when it happens. I really enjoy it. So I do like that they don't do it much, but it is very satisfying when they do it.
Yeah.
The uniforms as well.
Yeah, that's something I was going to mention. I love it when there's new uniforms shown because, you know, it's fine to see people wearing the same clothes quite a lot, especially in anime. That's how they kind of sell the characters and make them memorable. But I love it when someone just wears something a bit different, and seeing everyone in baseball outfits is just cool. I like that.
Oh, Magetta and Piccolo though, they're the best ones. They're just so out of place.
Yeah.
It's like it's like when you think Post Boy Piccolo is weird, baseball Piccolo is even weirder. Then you have a giant robot in a baseball outfit. That's just and a giant teddy bear as well.
Yeah.
It's like these things don't make any sense. And
Oh,
then of course,
it's great though.
and the golden moment of the entire episode, of course, is the Cyberman recreation. The death of Yamcha 2.0.
Yeah. But he doesn't die this time, but it's
Yeah.
close enough, I guess.
But he also gets the home run with it,
Hmm.
and he gets the win. So they change what is a horrible moment into something bittersweet,
Mm.
and I love that.
Yeah.
And they even say bittersweet. It's actually I watched back a good part of the episode, a good fair chunk of the episode before we to get me notes ready and everything. And literally one of them actually says, "I recognize this moment."
Yeah. That's Piccolo, I think. Oh,
Yeah.
he says it's a bad memory or something like that.
And he's literally as he's got his hand on base, and I just think it's great.
Yeah.
It's everything about the episode is just. I don't think there's anything that's truly like. It's a stupid episode, and
Mm.
I love everything about it. I mean, there's even little things where it's like where the cheering on, and it's like you've got Chi Chi cheering on Goku, you've got Videl cheering on Gohan, and then you've got 18 cheering on Krillin, and it's basically 18's just like don't mess it up. It's like, it's like yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah.
It's just even every tiny little thing is just so satisfying.
Yeah, it's just a
Goku's
fun episode, I guess.
yeah.
Like, there's a lot of episodes in Dragon Ball, filler episodes that are kind of just pointless and don't do anything for the story. This is one of them. It is a pointless episode, but it's also probably one of the funnest episodes in the show as well, which is great.
It feels like a very intentional episode.
Mm.
Like, despite being filler, there is a lot of effort put into this episode, in my opinion.
Hmm.
To me, it's very well animated.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dialogue. There's a lot of like I said, there's a lot to it. You
Hmm.
tend to find a lot of filler episodes are just very generic and there's just very lazy dialogue and things like that. And it's just there's nothing there. But again, they've put a lot of references in. They like the Wolfgang reference, the Wolfgang, sorry, Wolfgang, like the Wolfgang references, the death references, the uniforms, everything. Like they've put so much into it and like so much mini research. It's very surprising and
Yeah. Like
very intentional.
just having that amount of characters in a filler episode as well. Because
Yeah,
usually the filler episodes they focus on one or two or maybe three characters, and that's it. Whereas this one had the entire cast pretty much. Everyone was
yeah,
there. Everyone was involved.
yeah. Pretty much every voice actor in Super Nyan
Yeah.
um, from both universes is there. Literally, the only one who's not there is Matthew Mercer, the hit.
Yeah.
But I imagine he's quite pricey. That's why. Probably one of the most expensive ones out the lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I imagine having a time skip bit of a cheat when it comes to baseball.
Probably.
But no, I thoroughly enjoyed the episode, and I think like it's kind of filler. It's not filler almost. It feels like a genuine episode almost, even though it's completely redundant to the story. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah, so for me, that is my choice. A very good episode. That is just fun all around. Fun for the family.
Yeah, so I know that's probably going to win again. And it shames me because I've tried to get Yamcha into the Hall of Fame so many times. And this is the one where he's probably going to go in. And it's your pick.
Glad he's getting in there.
Yeah. So I'm kind of, it's like I'm blocking
Yamcha.
I'm trying to block Yamcha getting into the Hall of Fame with my pick. And which is just hard to say. But my pick, and it's kind of the only one I think has any sort of chance against a baseball episode, is the driving episode from Dragon Ball Z. It's probably one of the most iconic filler episodes as well, just like the baseball one. Everyone knows the driving episode. It's the one where Goku and Piccolo are wearing their casual clothing. Chi-Chi gives Piccolo the post boy outfit, which everyone knows and loves, which is Goku's clothes, which somehow fit Piccolo perfectly fine. Doesn't make much sense, but yeah, okay, cool. But it's a great episode, you know. Chi-Chi's wanting Goku to learn how to drive and tells Piccolo to go along with him. And,
because reasons.
Yeah. And both of them have two completely different instructors, I guess. Like Goku's got this old man, Piccolo's got this younger woman. And Piccolo's actually doing pretty well. He seems like he's a good driver when he's learning, you know, he's doing everything right. He's learning fine and it's going well. Goku, on the other hand, complete recklessness. He goes completely wild. He can't really drive. But before they take their exam, they decide, let's just have a race. And they go for it. And because of that, they both end up failing their test because, of course, they do. They're racing around the city. They cause havoc around the city. But during the race, you know, they see a bus that's about to fall off a cliff. They both fly out of the cars and save it. And the instructors are like, well, yeah, you failed your test, but we would both rather be able to fly than drive a car anyway, so you're still winning there. Which Goku and Piccolo are both like, yeah, I guess so. But they go back to see Chi-Chi and Goku tells her that he failed, and then Chi-Chi faints. For whatever reason, she can't believe it and she faints, and that's how the episode ends. Which is strange to me, because, like, what did she really expect? Like, why... Like, I don't understand why she even wanted Goku to drive in the first place when he can fly. There is no reason. He can carry everything that's needed. He can carry people. He can go faster than any car.
So he carries giant fish all the time.
Yeah, like if she's saying, oh, we need for groceries or whatever, I'm sure Goku can just carry the groceries much faster than getting a car. So, you know, it's fine. Everyone in the family can fly apart from Chi-Chi, so, you know, she can use the flying Nimbus. Why not bring that back? She's pure enough to use it. She's sat in it before.
And you can drive a tractor now anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah, he must have got his license at some point.
Yeah. Different type of license, I'm pretty sure, but he's got it, so it's fine.
Tractor license, yeah, unless he just drives without a license, which is illegal, and Krillin should arrest him right now, put him in jail. But who knows?
We all know what happened last time when Goku punched Krillin in the face. That was quite funny. Pretty sure Krillin nearly died. But
yeah, you can try and arrest Goku. I wonder what would happen if someone actually tried to arrest Goku. Imagine if the police forces of the world were just like, yeah, these people who can fly around the world and constantly try and save the planet, maybe we should arrest them for causing so much damage. And like, imagine them trying to arrest Goku. Well, the entire Z Warriors. That would be an interesting episode.
Well, apparently, that they just think that Bulma not setting off fireworks and stuff.
Yeah. Like
last time, the police officers or so.
Yeah.
Apparently, what was that in Battle of the Gods? They thought, oh, look at them setting off doing crazy experiments again. It's just like, so you're just going to ignore the explosions. All right.
It goes to show
how it
that
works.
rich people can get away with anything because, Bulma should be
Because-
arrested, but she
I was
has
going to say
money.
because money, but it's like, actually, yeah, that's actually the case. Never mind.
Yeah, she probably just pays as much money as she can just to not go to prison. Who knows? But that's another filler episodes we're talking about anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, my pick is the driving episode. I don't think it'll compete, but it could be close. People do like the driving episode.
Yeah, a lot of Z fans could favour the driving episode. It is quite iconic, like you say.
It all comes down to who votes. If people have just watched Super, then it's probably going to be the baseball one, and it's also more fresh in people's minds. They probably remember it better. I remember it better than the driving one. But the driving one is a classic. Everyone knows it. Everyone loves it as well. It was the best filler episode before Super, let's face it. So it all comes down to if people still think it's the best, or if the new Super episode with the baseball kind of dethrones it as best filler. Who knows?
True.
But those are our picks, and you guys who are watching and listening right now get to decide who goes into the Hall of Fame. So if you want to vote, go check out our socials down below and get involved in the polls. And one of these two picks, either the baseball episode or the driving episode, will enter next week's Hall of Fame. But for now, we'll move on to the hot take.
Let's go.
Hot take.
So this is the hot take, the section of the podcast where I usually research online and find a take that is controversial regarding Dragon Ball. But today, Ajoten, you have looked online and you have found a post that might be controversial, and we can talk about it. So let's discuss whatever it is that you found.
Oh, nothing might about it. Definitely controversial.
Ooh, I'm intrigued.
Yeah. So, this person has stated the following: Dragon Ball Z is boring.
Oh,
The fights take way too much time and they're not interesting at all. Dragon Ball Super is better because the pacing is much better, but neither as good as Dragon Ball.
How can you say that the fights are too long? The Frieza Goku fight only lasted 5 minutes. Like, come on, how is it too long?
Yeah. There's no way. It took absolutely forever.
Man, interesting take.
Now, yeah. No. Oof. Boring. That's a strong word.
Yeah, I don't agree with boring at all. But it's just the end, the very last thing you said, where Dragon Ball was better. I'm just like,
from a pacing perspective. Now, like we've discussed many times, you're the Dragon Ball expert out of the two of us, very much so. However, I've looked into it. From what I've looked into it, I would probably say that for pacing, to me, it looks like original Dragon Ball would have the best pacing.
100%. Like, there is, I think, 150 something episodes of original Dragon Ball. There's over double that of Dragon Ball Z. And I think there's probably just as many arcs within original Dragon Ball as there is Dragon Ball Z, which means every arc is half of the time, just about. So yeah, the pacing is good.
Yeah. There are nine arcs in the original Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
And of 9 of those arcs, only 2 of them are over 20 episodes.
Yeah. Exactly.
And the 8th one is is 21. The only one over, and the final one is 31. So the ending one is 31. Every other one is shorter than that. So it would make sense that the final one, the one rounding up the entire show, would be longer. So that makes sense. So to me, that makes sense from a pacing perspective. If you think of television shows these days, like, pacing is everything in a show. So you would never do that. So so from a pacing perspective, I 100% agree. Even though I haven't sat and watched them all, it just makes sense for that, because it gives sense for a lot of pulling out fights. Because if you look, like the Demon King Piccolo fight in original Dragon Ball, it's like an hour and 22 or something like that. It's a very long fight.
Yeah.
Whereas if you look at the entire Jiren fight, like including Vegeta and Frieza and everything like that, I bet if you add all that together, it's considerably longer than that.
Yeah, that would be over 2 hours at least. And the Frieza Goku fight from Dragon Ball Z, that's almost 5 hours, I think.
Yeah.
Combined total of episodes. So if you think about it, if you said 31 episodes for the final arc,
yeah,
that's like 10 hours because each episode's 20 minutes. So 10 hours for the entire final arc, which is the longest arc of Dragon Ball. And yeah, 10 hours is not so long. If you think one fight is taking 1 hour, there's a lot of stuff that happens within that arc as well, like the whole tournament that happens in the middle of it. I'm guessing that's also included within that Demon King Piccolo arc.
It's Heavenly Training, Piccolo Jr., and the Wedding Dress and Flame sagas.
Yeah.
So that's all of that included.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But there's so many different arcs in Dragon Ball. There's 3 tournaments, or 4? 3, I think. There's the Red Ribbon arc. There's the starting arc, Goku and Bulma going around together. There's the Master Rabbit arc. Demon King Piccolo, of course. Everything else that happens. There's a lot of stuff. And the Red Ribbon Army, I was expecting that to be the longest arc. But maybe
Red Ribbon 17, General Blues 12.
Okay, they split it up.
12's 11.
Okay, yeah, they split it up into separate arcs. Fair enough. Yeah, because the entirety of Red Ribbon, I kind of expected that to be one arc, but it seems like they split it up into the different sections.
But even then, that brings it. But if you combine them, that brings it down to like. That would bring the number of arcs down together to even fewer arcs. So, like, even then, you've got an even fewer arcs. It would bring it down to like 7 arcs. So, you've got even fewer arcs.
Which is still quite a lot for 150 episodes. 7 arcs in 150 episodes. That's quite a lot.
So, it's like the pacing for Dragon Ball itself definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
So, in terms of whether or not you're looking at boring and everything like that, the pacing is definitely on the side of Dragon Ball itself.
Yeah.
I do like the pacing of Super. I will give it that. I thought the pacing of the Tournament of Power. We've done this in a reaction when I think one of the key things was one of the transformations was for Ultra Instinct. When it's basically he turned Ultra Instinct, it wasn't a long change. He basically changed, and the first thing he did is he attacked Jiren, and they were back in the fight.
Yeah,
it wasn't a long transformation. It didn't take it took pretty much 3 minutes, like a minute or 2 minutes. I think our reaction video was about 6 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, and that was a discussion included. And he was straight back into the fight, and I like that. And things like that I do like happening. There wasn't too much sitting about, so I did like that within the Tournament of Power. However, just because something's paced well does not make something else boring. I think that, and it doesn't necessarily make something else. I highly disagree that Dragon Ball Z is boring, and I don't think the fights take too much time.
No. But also, when was the last time you watched Dragon Ball Z all the way through?
It could just be nostalgia. I mean, maybe I'm looking through things.
I'm remembering the very start of Dragon Ball Z is well paced, I can say, because within the first, like, I think it's the like 6th episode or something, is the Raditz and Goku fight where Goku dies. So within the first few episodes, Goku's dead. And within that time, they've established Gohan as a character. They've established Raditz. They've had a fight. Goku's died. And they've already introduced the next big bad, which is Vegeta at the time. The Saiyan Saga, I think, is paced really well. They go to Namek, and Namek is a long saga. Maybe it does drag on a bit, but a lot of stuff happens there with Frieza, with the Ginyu Force, with Vegeta. The Cell Saga, again, is quite long, but again, there's multiple forms of Cell, the Cell games, everything else. And then the Boo Saga, which is everyone's least favourite saga, but that is pretty long. But again, they kind of split it up by having Boo having multiple forms. They have Babidi and him being around, and the Boora and everyone else. So I don't know. I can't remember it well enough to remember all of the filler and how long things take. In my mind, I think it was fine.
I've just got them up here. They're definitely not that bad at all. The Saiyan Saga, okay, from start to finish. So this includes Raditz and Vegeta, and everything included 39.
39, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, it's still longer than any saga in original Dragon Ball, I guess.
Yeah. So, but just because they're longer, I wouldn't say they're necessarily boring.
No.
I mean, we've already said that the pacing of Dragon Ball is better, so I don't think that's anything wrong. I mean, so there isn't a single one. The average, I would say, is about 30 episodes.
Yeah.
I would say the average. There are 9 of them, and the average is 30.
I will admit, there is a lot of stuff about the pacing of Dragon Ball Z I don't like. Like, during the Saiyan Saga, I wasn't a fan of all of the Snake Way segments. Like, they took too long, in my opinion. I think he could have got there a lot quicker, but then, he's seen Princess Snake and had that whole interaction, going to Hell. The Hell episode was fine, but seeing Princess Snake wasn't needed, and he was on Snake Way for about 4 or 5 episodes before he actually got to King Kai's planet. I feel like that was maybe a bit too long. And they did similar things in the Frieza saga as well, with like Bulma needing to hide and stuff and trying to find all the Dragon Balls around the planet. There was a lot of slow moments, and you can argue the fight between Goku and Frieza at the end was extremely long, longer than it needed to be, but also it's the most well-known fight in anime history, so does that mean it make it a bad thing if it was long? Who knows?
I thoroughly enjoyed the Gohan Cell fight. I thought once Gohan turned, angry Gohan is a force. Like, he's a tour de force. Basically, he basically, the way he tore apart the mini cells and everything, and he just unleashed. I did not find that boring.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, he put the fear of God in Perfect Cell, and then when he comes back, and it's, I found that very interesting. I found the fight between 17 and Piccolo, I found that quite interesting as well.
Yeah.
I don't think that the fights were boring. Personally, no. I don't think the fights are boring at all. No, I think there can be pacing issues when it comes to transformations. I think that's fair to say. I think there can be pacing issues when it comes to in between. So, like, the lead up to the Cell games, fair enough.
Yeah.
However, you do get some outstanding moments in that, such as Tien blocking Imperfect Cell. I think that's an outstanding
moment.
Love that. That's arguably, to me,
Tien's best moment.
Yeah. I think it's props to Tian for that. I love Tian for that. And it's just like, it allows for it gives other characters moments to shine. I love the fight between Majin Vegeta and Goku as well. Brilliant. Such a good fight between the two of them. So no, I think the fights are definitely not boring. I don't think that's fair to say at all. I think there are pacing issues. I agree with that. That's fair. However, you can't just drop. Again, this is one of the takes where you can't just drop a big vague statement.
Yeah. Did he say that he liked Dragon Ball Super? I can't remember exactly what was said now.
Dragon Ball Z is boring. The fights take way too much time and they're not interesting at all. Dragon Ball Super is better because the pacing is much better, but
Right,
neither is
okay.
good as Dragon Ball.
Do you think maybe he said the fights are boring in Dragon Ball Z and he prefers OG? So the way I'm thinking of it is he's obviously an OG fan. He's watched original Dragon Ball and he likes it the most, which is why he says that's the best. In original Dragon Ball, deaths actually had a meaning. And when people died, it seemed like they were gone forever until they finally used the Dragon Balls to bring them back. But that was a rare occurrence. That didn't happen much. In Dragon Ball Z, you're already at the point where no deaths matter. So no matter the outcome of a fight, you know that the person, if it's a main character, they're going to be brought back to life. If it's a villain, then they're going to lose and be gone anyway. So it doesn't matter. Is that why he thinks the fights are boring? Because you can predict what's going to happen? Because arguably, in Dragon Ball Super, it is the same, but also the main arc to end Dragon Ball Super was all about you can't kill each other. It's a lot of fights without the death. So you don't know who's going to win, because it's not about death for a change, which I really like, because they made death meaningless because of the Dragon Balls. So having a tournament where death isn't a part of it, it makes you think, oh, okay, I can actually enjoy these fights, and there's an outcome that's going to be surprising between all of the different competitors, so that's cool to see. Maybe that's why he prefers Dragon Ball Super as well. But I can see where he's coming from if he's thinking solely based on, well, the fights don't matter because Dragon Balls exist. I can understand his point. But I don't think the fights are boring. That's the wrong word for it.
I think the thing is, they've said the fights take way too much time and they're not interesting at all.
That's
They
just
basically said the fights take way too much time and they're not interesting. Basically saying that the fights aren't interesting at all. So it's like if this person had purely said that there's pacing issues, I would agree.
Yeah.
That's fine. But to say that the fights aren't interesting at all and the fights take way too much time.
Yeah.
Like too much time, fair enough. But not interesting? No, disagree.
How can you say they're not interesting? The very first fight between Goku and Raditz was interesting because it's this brand new character who's Goku's brother, who you find out the main character of the show, original Dragon Ball, who's been this like jungle kid, has a brother that we've never known about, and he's a space alien, and Goku ends up dying in the fight. It's like, yeah, that's an interesting fight. And then, of course, Goku versus Vegeta as well. Huge fight, incredible stuff. Goku versus Frieza. They're all good fights. Even like Vegeta versus the Ginyu Force. Them are good fights as well.
But even just going back to the first Raditz fight, Goku teams up with his OG nemesis to take down the new bad guy.
Yeah.
Sacrifices his life.
Which is his brother. Down. Yeah.
That is a brilliant setup to the new show. It's literally like, so even if you're just looking at it from a fight perspective, like not even looking at it from story, like that's great. The amount of moves that Vegeta and Goku set in, like through the Kaioken and everything like that, like there are so many moves that are brought in just the Saiyan Saga alone that I think are great. The mechanics, the Destructo Disc, everything like that, like I just don't get it. No, I disagree. I don't get it. Like I agree with the pacing. I'm one of these people where Super's always been a controversial thing. Like with people, I'm a big fan of Super. I very much enjoy Super. I'm not afraid to say that. I love Super. But so I'm happy to say that I agree that Super does have better pacing. However, I do not think that. So I'll happily say that Super has better pacing in my opinion, but I do not think that Z has bad fights. That's just that's not fair to say at all, because Cell versus Gohan is some of my favorite moments in Dragon Ball.
Yeah,
because Gohan's an animal in that, and we've discussed this in previous podcasts as to why I think that a previous take you've had was so wrong, because of how Gohan was called out in just such a vague way
Mm,
that it just didn't make sense to me.
yeah.
Because it's like why it's one of my favorite moments, but it just didn't make sense. And again, this is saying such a vague thing that it just doesn't make any sense. It just seems to be that someone couldn't be bothered to sit through it and were just like, I can't be asked with this, and then just yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree. Like with everything you've just said there, I completely agree. I think Dragon Ball Super is good, but the fights with like Cell and Gohan, like you mentioned, is a great fight. Um, and yeah, I do also agree with the pacing in Super is better. Things are kind of shortened down. Everything's kind of a bit more snappy. Apart from maybe the Goku Black saga, I think that did drag on. Like there was a lot of stuff, especially towards the end of it, with Vegeta, Trunks, and Goku versus Goku Black and Zamasu at the end. That went on for a while. But apart from that, I think the pacing overall was better than Dragon Ball Z, just because they kind of kept things not short and sweet, but a good length and sweet, if that makes sense.
I think
Whereas, yeah,
yeah,
like Z
I think,
dragged things out
and I think with the Tournament of Power, it felt quite long, but there
very
were
long.
fights, yeah, but there seemed to be fights pretty much constantly.
Mhm.
Something was always seemed to be happening at some point, whereas it wasn't because it didn't always need to be. A lot of the time, I would say, didn't seem to be standing about like a lot of the time. I would say, if I
Mhm.
remember rightly. Um, I mean, towards the end, not as much, obviously, because there were a lot fewer combatants.
Mm.
But at the start, it was very, very constant because you could just bounce between people, and I liked that,
Yeah, you
which was
can
a good thing about the Tournament of Power.
you can argue that the Tournament of Power was incredibly badly paced, because at least with every other arc in every other series on any show, they split it up well between dialogue and fighting. Whereas the Tournament of Power was full fights for the entire arc. There was no breaks. It was all fight, 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 fight with different people. So to me, that did drag a bit, because you would always at the start and the end of each episode, it would show you the overall like tournament stage and the thing in the middle going down, the timer going down, and it's like, how long does this timer go on for? It's supposed to be what, 42 minutes? It's been like 30 episodes already, and it's still going down. So you can
Yeah,
argue, like he says that Dragon Ball Super is better. You can't say that for the Tournament of Power arc, because that drags massively. Yes, it is good because of the amount of fights, but the pacing wise, very long, very very
yeah,
long.
I suppose. Yeah, that's true. No, I just enjoyed it for the constant fights.
Yeah, I enjoyed the fights as well, but pacing
Yeah,
wise, like it was long.
yeah,
That
yeah,
was the whole point in it, though.
yeah. True, I suppose.
Yeah. So
But
overall, I probably disagree. He has some points, and I do agree that original Dragon Ball was the best paced show. But yeah, I can't say that the fights are boring. Definitely not.
and definitely not Dragon Ball Z as a whole boring.
Yeah, exactly.
It wouldn't have had the success it had. Full stop. In the West, if it was boring as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Because original Dragon Ball was good, but Dragon Ball Z was the thing that got popular and made Dragon Ball as popular as it is today. Not
It
original
had,
Dragon Ball, not Super, but Dragon Ball Z was the one that got popular.
yeah, it had a huge impact of anime in the West. Like
Yeah.
full stop.
Mhm.
So like so I don't really. It obviously had to have some impact. Um.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, nah.
Yeah, nah. That's the best way to sum it up. Yeah, nah.
Yeah. No, I strongly disagree.
Yeah.
And I mean, it held a lot of young people's attention as well, which is not easy to do.
Mhm.
If it was really that slow, it wouldn't have done that.
Exactly.
So I disagree. I think there are definite pacing issues, but there must have been some good fights in there. Although I'm hoping that wasn't just my nostalgia thing. I'll have to set aside many hours and
Rewatch everything.
scratch. Yes.
Yeah, so we're both in agreement. We kind of disagree with this. And I think that's a good place to wrap up the podcast. It's been a good one. I've enjoyed
Yeah.
discussing everything that we've went through. Some nice topics here. Nice,
Yeah.
fun episode for episode 10. Getting in the double digits. It's only getting more and more after here. We're growing. You know, it's been 10 episodes, 10 weeks. That's almost how long? 3 months now we've almost been going?
Yeah, sounds about right.
Wow. Already. But yeah,
Been fun.
we'll keep going, see how it goes. But if you have enjoyed this episode anyway, please like it up. It helps us out a lot. Subscribe down below if you haven't already. And check out our socials for the Hall of Fame. And other than that, we will see you all next time.
Yeah.